Making drops today. Okay, so this is a drop making machine. This is called the Speedy Dropper. And one of the things we wanted to do was test to see if buying pre-cut drops or buying the rolls and cutting them ourselves, like what is the better deal? So when you buy a pre-cut drop, Phil's got one over there on the other side of him. Show him a pre-cut drop. It's straight as an arrow because it's cut right off the machine. It doesn't have any memory. The other option, you should buy it in a 500-foot roll like this guy. Now this machine has a spool and will actually spool out the length you want. And as you're putting the fittings on the drops, it'll cut them. So every time he pushes fittings down, there's actually a blade over there that will cut the next drop. It's not necessarily a downside, but this has memory. There's curve and curl in these. We use the Leader 5/16 Max Flex. We like in the woods being able to move the piece relatively easily. It is more difficult to put fittings in these, as Phil can attest. They're a little squishier. I don't know if that's the way to put it.
That's the best way to put it.
The other 5/16 line in the woods is a little more rigid and stiff, and it's actually easier to put fittings, the barb fittings inside. So what we're doing today is we dusted off the old drop maker. Just getting in the swing of things. I almost had to remember how to make them. We haven't done drops in a long time, but we decided to invest in some stubbies, and we need some new drops at the scout camp. Those lines are getting pretty short, Phil. They're
some of them are this long.
Yeah, it's time. So that tubing, the way that system works is we cut the spout off every year. So if you cut a spout off every year, your drop gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And it's to the point where we can't even reach around the trees anymore. And if you're going to add new drops, in our opinion, this is just an opinion. I think everybody should do what's best for them, but we do like the stubby fittings. So just to kind of show you what a stubby fitting looks like is it's got a taper and you put a new spout on every year, and there's tools to separate the spout. And then on the T, it'll actually close up on itself. So at the end of the year when we pull spouts, you plug the stubby back into the T and your system stays completely closed up. And we like that. So at the next maple season when you start up, as you're tapping, you can actually have the system on as you're tapping. And that'll help you find leaks as you're tapping. There's pros and cons to everything, but we have found that the stubby saves labor. And the most valuable thing I think any business or farm can attest to at this point is labor is at such a premium that anything you can do to make the team you have more efficient is a good investment. So that's kind of where we're at on it. If you're faster to tap, it takes less guys to tap. You know, I'm gonna have to show you how we cut drops off or cut spouts off every year. It's kind of a necessary evil. The spouts are disposable, and that's what allows that tap to stay sanitary. So the actual tap hole will continue to produce sap throughout the maple season. So at this point, it sure seems easy to take the pre-cut drops. Now the pre-cut drops are a little bit more money. I think we're gonna show the math at the end of this video as to buying it in a roll versus buying it pre-cut. But just watching Phil and how quickly he can just grab a drop, throw it on, it sure seems, the rhythm of pulling a drop over here compared to pulling it left to right would be a little different. So we're gonna make this video over several days, so I shouldn't have said that because if we wanna wear the same flannel, now they'll know. As usual, Phil's working and I'm talking. It definitely, I can already tell, like from a speed standpoint.
It's way easier than
pulling it off here.
Yeah.
If we could curl this back to you,
that would be different.
It would be different.
Well, and see, the other thing for me is being left-handed, that's on the wrong side. Mm-hmm.
This is the second one ever made, and when I saw it at the Lake Erie Maple Expo, must have been the first year we had the Lake Erie Maple Expo because we had just moved into this building. I saw that thing and I thought, this is pretty smart, and we bought it. What do you think the most important adjustments we made on this thing were?
Well, twofold. First of all, getting the switch set so that the length is correct. And the second one was getting the knife set so that I can set the ends in and make the cut at the same time without destroying the knife.
Gotcha. Now, how about length of like pedals, the seat? I mean, there's a lot of adjustments on the seat. You can go up, down, forward, back. And I noticed like even with your feet, you're using your heel more than...
Well, when I had my foot back using the toe of my foot, I had to hold my leg up in order to do it.
So you have way more leverage.
And that was uncomfortable. This way, I'm steadying the weight of my leg on my toes, and then I use my heel when I need to in order to make
How many
the clamps.
drops have you made with, well, in general, like you've been making drops for a few days?
So far, I've made just short of 500.
Oh, wow. And you're not like trying to beat the band. You're coming in every morning for an hour or two and making some drops.
Spent 4 hours in here yesterday and I got 300 done.
Okay. So not quite 100 an hour, like 75 or something.
Well, I was still getting used to the machine. I think
it wasn't working right either.
Well, yesterday I was working on precuts, which toward the end I was doing better. This, again, I'm still getting used to this, running off the reel.
But the precuts versus the reel, now that this is working right, and you've only made, what, 50?
Right.
So you made 50 with the actual reel working correctly.
Right.
So you're still getting used to it.
Yeah.
But the major changes you and I talked about was if you could curl this to you.
Yes.
And even making this more towards you too. Like having to reach over and throw these on and then pull this. Like you can like feel it ergonomically.
Now the other, and it's a minor item, but the other thing that comes up, we got these bundled in 50s. So when I get done with the bundle, I know I've made 50. I have to actually count.
That's a good
So
point.
basically what I do is I fill the pole and then I count to see where I'm at and then fill in so that I get bundles of 50. That way we know how many we've actually
And there's
made.
100 in each bag of the fittings.
Well, there is, but when you're, like right now, because I did 50 yesterday and 50 today, I'm off on, you know.
Gotcha.
Plus, when you put a full bag in, how do you know when you got to 50?
Right. So having the pre-cuts in bundles of 50 help you.
As far as being able to keep track.
Gotcha.
It's a little thing, but...
If this was attached to a counter...
Well, that was my thought, was if we could figure out a way to put a counter on it, it would be kind of handy.
Every time it opens and closes.
Yeah, because then you don't have to take time to sit there and count to know where you're at. But I've found bundles of 25 or 50 make it nice out in the field. We know what we're working with.
Right. So 1,000 more to go, Phil.
Yeah. Day or two.
Yep. Well, good deal.